Now, the Washington Post, for its part, is trying to talk Democrats through the economic turmoil. They're trying to pretend the economy is actually okay. So you have a piece from, for example, Abba Badarai saying U.S. economy likely grew a lot last quarter. Most people didn't notice. Oh, is that what happened? Okay. This columnist says, the U.S. economy is expected to have grown robustly in a sharp rebound from the first half of the year. Most Americans are unlikely to notice anything about the turnaround. Although the newest numbers are likely to look like improvements on paper, economists say they don't reflect major changes in the economy, which could be headed for a recession in the next year. Yeah, that would be the problem right there, is that you can temporarily pretend that everything is okay, but nobody actually believes you at this point. But again, it is fun to watch delusional Democrat backers try to talk their way through this one. Jennifer Rubin, whose column has become an exercise in actual madness. She has a piece today titled, quote, Democrats have a strong closing argument. The GOP would wreck the economy. Oh, is that their strong closing argument? Really? Because I'm noticing the economy is wrecked and there's not a Republican in power. I noticed that. But Jennifer Rubin, man, is she a gem. Remember, she was once the in-house conservative columnist at the Washington Post, which shows you how these institutions just take the heart out of people. She says, this is more trickle-down economics designed to make the rich richer, which would balloon the national debt and worsen inflation. Democrats should describe the election for what it is, a face-off between supply-side economics and Biden's promise to build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. Yeah, they're trying that, Jennifer. They've been trying that, and it's failing because it's stupid. That would be the reason. This would contrast, she says, the two parties as one for the little guy and one for the billionaires, which has worked in the past to elect Biden and before him, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't think of this. Probably they never thought of saying that probably the Republicans are for the rich. They've never used the term trickle-down economics before. Just amazing work here from Jennifer Rubin. Again, you can talk your way through pretty much anything. Well, meanwhile, again, Democrats trying to desperately pull their chestnuts out of the fire over here. They're relying on pretty much anything they can. And that apparently includes a person by the name of Latto, who I didn't know who that was, who is apparently some sort of singer and performed recently at a Lizzo concert. And Latto, not latte, Latto, brought forth Stacey Abrams during her performance. The hall immediately cleared out because no one cares about Stacey Abrams. This is just stellar stuff right here. Here comes, okay, there goes Latto. Latto is getting cold. Okay, and then Latto bows to Stacey Abrams, who emerges on a stage. In the background are two dancers who carry signs saying, protect women's rights, and one saying just so that's always an amazing look. The class of our culture is really spectacular. I have to say, I feel like we've reached heights in American culture that have yet to be reached, truly. When you have senatorial candidates, presidents of the universe, in the case of Stacey Abrams, walking out on stage to rappers who are flanked by women carrying signs that say, maybe God has abandoned us for a reason. I was having this conversation with Jeremy Boring the other day, and he says, man, we really need God to intervene. And I said, that's a very Christian perspective on life. I'm a Jew, so my perspective is maybe God already did, and it's bad. And Christians tend to be a little more optimistic about history than Jews. Like, well, maybe we deserve this. Maybe we had it coming. That seems to be the only way that you can explain what's going on in the United States right now. The good news for the Republicans is that none of this is going to avail Democrats whatsoever. You look at those top governor races, Kerry Lake is now up in the average. Actually, the Republicans look like they're going to take the gubernatorial race in Oregon, which is kind of a shocker. It looks as though Republicans are going to do well in Nevada, like they're going to win that race. Brian Kemp is now leading Stacey Abrams in the Real Clear Politics polling average by 8 points. Greg Abbott is leading by 9 points. Remember Beto O'Rourke? Remember that time that Beto O'Rourke was a thing? You don't? Yeah, no, it was the media tried real hard. And they're like, well, Beto, he's amazing. He's going to beat Ted Cruz. Then he lost to Ted Cruz, and then he went and ate some dirt in New Mexico. And then he ran for president. And he's like, oh, I hate guns. And you're like, get out of here, Beto. No one likes you. And now he's running for governor. And he's arriving at memorials for dead kids and shouting at people. So that's not going amazing for him. So it looks as though they're not going to take that race either. Ron DeSantis in the Florida polling is up on average 10 points in Florida. Let me remind you that he defeated Andrew Gillum in the last gubernatorial election in the state by like 30,000 votes. That is how close Florida came to having a meth addict for a governor discovered in a room with a passed out gay prostitute who is now under investigation by the DOJ as the governor. DeSantis now has a 10-point lead, despite all of the hue and cry about how he's death sentence. It seems that people in this state, my home state, actually like him. There's some other races that theoretically could cut against Democrats here that are way too close for comfort. Right now, there's some new polls out showing that Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan is in striking distance of Tudor Dixon. The Real Clear Politics polling average has that race at about a 2.5 percentage point race in favor of the incumbent Whitman. Over in Minnesota, Tim Walz is running against Scott Jensen. And this is looking a little bit dicey for Tim Walz. The Real Clear Politics polling average has Walz up just 2.5 points in Minnesota. So again, a lot of these governor's races, Wisconsin is a dead heat right now. There are new polls out in New York, by the way, showing that Lee Zeldin might be able to take Kathy Hochul. There's a poll out from Quinnipiac over the past week showing that Hochul is up just 4 points on Lee Zeldin. Remember, in the New Jersey polling, Phil Murphy was up significantly on Ciattarelli before he almost lost that race. So there's every possibility that a surging Zeldin could actually take down the governor of New York, which would be an amazing rebuttal to the New York model of governance. Pretty astonishing stuff. So this is shaping up to be a real bad year for the Democrats, and it's hard to imagine why. The Real Clear Politics polling projection for the House, by the way, says that their average take right now is that Republicans are going to win 29 seats in the House. Their range is between 12 and 47, which means there's effectively a 100% chance of Republicans taking the House. On the generic ballot, Republicans have actually created their biggest lead on the generic ballot in months. They have a 3-point lead in the congressional generic ballot. That is the biggest lead that they've had since June, like before the Roe versus Wade decision. So Democrats are in some real serious trouble right now, which is, of course, why they're bringing out Stacey Abrams at latte concerts. Latte. Meanwhile, the popular movement, the conservative movement in the country, is gaining steam thanks to people like our own host here over at Daily Wire, Matt Walsh. He held a rally to end child mutilation over in Nashville, in downtown Nashville. And apparently thousands of people showed up. According to the Nashville scene, 11 speakers, including Tennessee legislators and U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, took the stage. That included Tulsi Gabbard, who showed up as well. Matt said, "We're here to fulfill one of the most fundamental obligations as humans, and that is to protect our kids." Other people who showed up included State Senator Jack Johnson, State House Majority Leader William Lamberth, Senator Dawn White, Senator Ed Jackson, Janice Bowling. They announced their intention to introduce legislation next month to end the practice of irreversible body-altering surgeries on minors. And Blackburn encouraged people to vote Republican in the November general election, saying that she wanted to replicate this sort of legislation in other states. There was a counter-protest staged downtown by the Middle Tennessee Democratic Socialists of America. It was a much, much smaller counter-rally, for sure. Huge turnout for Matt's rally. I think they were expecting, several hundred people. Instead, they got several thousand, is my understanding. And again, the momentum is not going to stop. The more the Democrats seek to radicalize everyone, the more they move toward an extraordinarily radical social agenda that essentially puts children on the chopping block, literally in this case, the more you're going to see people turn up. The more you're going to see people who just are not going to sit by on the sidelines. Republicans aren't running away from social issues anymore. They're running directly into them, particularly when you are looking at issues like transing of the kids. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing now. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to be getting into Joe Biden and whether he, in fact, will be the 2024 nominee. It looks as though he is imploding on the launch pad. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.